How is everybody? Is this thing stuck? There it is. How is everybody? I don't know about this computer. This is purely entertainment. There's a disclaimer entertainment. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse, practitioner, or any of those things, but it is a true story. I'm not going to give or talk about every little bitty thing that happened to me doing the prostate shenanigans that I'm about. However, I was told about what the prostate does over, okay, I'm 75, over 30 years ago, over 40 years ago. Someone told me to watch out for that. This is what happens. He had went twice. He had a procedure done twice. He was out for quite a bit. But I didn't know exactly. I know it might happen to me because I'm a man. Mostly man. This is a man thing. So that's probably why it's late night and it's best for me to talk late night because it's planned. I got notes just to help me along. I've been thinking about this for quite a while. Some people feel like that I probably shouldn't talk about it, but why not? I'm 75. It doesn't matter. It really does not matter anymore. I need to share this. I need to share this to all the men out there, especially black men, but it happens to all men. There are certain myths involved in it. Disclaim any myth that you hear about it. First of all, you go see a doctor. Men should not be afraid to have the test, the PSA test. 3 years ago, I became sick. Let me tell you a little about that. I had always been watched about my prostate in the late 60s up until the 70s. They do give you the PSA test, and that's the finger test. It goes into the rectum. I hated that, but they be doing that to you most of your life. They always do that. You don't get that now for some reason because you really don't have a prostate anymore. That's what they said. But I didn't know about it, and now that I went through it, it took me a long time to even think about even giving this. But I said, you know what, I must do it. So I always been given the test. Out of all the practitioners I had, out of all the doctors I had in my late 60s up into the 70s. And one of the procedures is I did say that it was the finger test. But when my prostate was becoming larger, they always test me the blood test and everything else. They put you on the table, the gurney, and the needle is this long, okay? I kid you not. The needle is this long, and I had it done twice to make sure that it was not cancerous. I would like to disclaim that right now. I did not have cancer of the prostate. It's just regular. There's a certain name for it. I'm going to get off into the scientific name, but they tested with that. They take 18 samples. That's what I said. 18 samples inside. And you know what I'm talking about. They go to the butt. They take 18 samples. Actually 17, 18. But believe it or not, you come out it without any problem. They take those samples. It's like a staple. They do that, and they can tell whether what type of prostate problem you have, and you can just drive off. You go in, they do all that. It shows a lot of stain everywhere. I'm not gonna say what it is. It shows a lot of stain everywhere, but you get up and you walk away, and it doesn't really hurt. It's just pressure. You would think, but just looking at that needle, it is quite scary. Okay, so I had that test. But over the past month, it was getting harder and harder to urinate. Sometimes you urinate a lot, which is a good thing. But then when the point comes where you cannot urinate, you run to the hospital for help. Help me. You don't go to jail. You don't go past go. You just express your way straight there and say, help me. I need help. And they take care of the procedures right then and there. Right there, they take care of the procedures. I don't care if you're married or girlfriend, you go there for help because it's about you. It's not about anyone else. Because when the time comes, this is just as serious as anything as a stroke, a heart attack, or anything else. But you need to be tested. Men need to be tested in order to catch it. Sometimes it does become fatal, but if you go to the doctor enough and you really care about yourself, which most of us do, you cannot be scared. You cannot be scared, period. You cannot. I'm going to reiterate. Men should not be scared to go into the doctor. It's not about money. It's not about any of that thing. It's about saving your life. It's about doing the best way you can. If you can live one more day, if you can get around without anybody else telling you how to live, you can go back to your regular lifestyle. Certain things you won't be able to do, but that's not the problem. The problem is getting up off the table and going about doing the things that you love to do. That's what it's about. So up until that point, I could not do it anymore. I hate going to restaurants and find out that the restrooms are locked, and one of the problem is that because there's so many bums or hobos or homeless street people, whatever you want to call them, they lock the bathrooms, and many times you can't use it. You can drive a certain distance and find out, oh, I got to urinate, but then all of a sudden you can't. Something is happening to you. You have to get it taken care of. You have to always go through those tests. You should always think about going to the doctor to get a checkup, even if it's a minor checkup once a year. I was going to get checked out almost twice a year. Leading up to that point, and then all of a sudden, I couldn't do it anymore. I went on YouTube. I was barely on YouTube a few years because I just started my YouTube during the pandemic. But there I was, not knowing that I am actually telling people that I'm sick, but I did not tell no one what it was. And I'm telling you 3 years later why I was sick, why I came on there, laid back in bed in the middle of the night, said I'm sick, blah, 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 this, blah, blah, that. But I did not say what it is. And like I said, up to this point, because of something else that's happened to me right now, I'm going to talk about the prostate. It does affect you in a way that if they don't get in time, I went to the process of not being able to breathe right, taking certain medicines to make me want to urinate. I got to the point where I lost all my strength. I had never laid in a hospital bed before in my life up until I was about 72, 73. Never went to the hospital. I've been to the hospitals, but not by ambulance. For the first time ever, I went by ambulance. You heard talking about I can't breathe. Well, it's true. I needed oxygen. I couldn't even walk. They had to pick me up, literally. Lost the strength. I lost everything. Once I got to the hospital, I was only in there about 3 days. The food was bland. I was getting shots, all kind of shots. They were doing all type of procedures to me in the middle of the night. It was like a nightmare. Sometimes it hurt, sometimes it didn't. They had to make sure that my blood was clear, my urine was clear, and all those types of things. And I still could not walk well. I lost all my strength. But then they started showing me how to get up, go from the bed to the chair. Literally, the bed to the chair. I ended up getting a walker after 3 days. Cause the food's bad. I was getting all these shots. Still getting oxygen, still getting food. Finally went home after about 3 days. I was able to walk a little bit and everything. I had to go to therapy, strength therapy, and I had a walker. I got to the point where I was walking across the street. I was going shopping. I was going to the beach with the walker. My strength was coming back really slow. All because of the prostate. Lucky that it wasn't cancerous, because it doesn't matter whether it's cancerous or not. It will affect you both ways. Believe me. What I had to go through felt like a nightmare. I felt useless. I didn't think I was ever going to go back to work. I went in the hospital like, I think, in the January, didn't go back to work till about May. I did go back to work for like 3 days because I found out that I was going to have the surgery moved up. It was going to be later. And they moved it up because someone else canceled. I wish it would have been done sooner. I'm going to tell you that right now, because I was already prepped and ready to go. But they had to do these tests. To me, it was too slow. But they have to do all these tests in their own time. But I think that if I would have had it a little bit faster, I probably would not be in the position I'm at for the next video is going to come after this one. But there I was, rehabilitating myself. Went to work for 3 days, I believe, because I got to change a surgery date. I went to work. I still had this certain device strapped to me. I'm not going to tell you what that is. If someone would come on and sometime we could talk about these things in the future, I would. That'd be another type of subject that I think we should talk about a lot, men's health. I think that's the most important thing. But I was literally in bed. I couldn't even, once I get to one place, I sit in my car for hours because I was getting my strength back. I just sat in the car, literally, for hours. Reading, writing, trying to make a video for YouTube. I couldn't even go in my little office at home. Once I watched TV, I stayed watching TV. I could not get up. That's how lazy I was getting. And I don't mean lazy because I'm lazy. Lazy because that's the way it is. You want to move, you can't. I had to use the walker to do exercises, even though I did go to a rehabilitation center, much like a gym. with with this certain device on me. But I got through it. It was very difficult, believe me. But I got to the point where I was taking care of myself. I ended up driving and walking with the walker to the rehabilitation. Sometimes I had company, but I was able to do by myself. I'm glad it wasn't too far away. Able to change clothes, taking a shower. All those things were difficult. But going to the hospital for the first time in an ambulance, the first time in my life in the age of 70, had never been in a hospital like that before. I always go in for a little minor stuff here and there. I'd say that was the scariest time of my life. I was just ready to give up. And yeah, I was crying. Any man that don't cry, there's no such thing as not being a man because you cry. Because if you're a human being, you go through the pain, you go through the suffering, you come out. That's what you should be sharing to the world. All these things is going around. But there I was, prostrate from the prostate, right? Prostrate, couldn't do nothing from the prostate. Was able to get around again, do all the things that I wanted to do. Men should get checked, and that's what I was talking about, the premier food, because that's going to be in the next video. I might show a little bit of the food right now at the end. But yes, I was warned many years ago the problem of someone who just come out and told me why he was gone for so long. I didn't know why till he told me. And I said, oh, he's a black man. A lot of black men have the problem because their prostate is just a little bit larger than most. I'm going to get into that. All that other stuff, most men will know. And sometimes you don't know about something until you talk to some other guys and say, oh, you went through that too? I didn't know that. You just be talking. You thought they was more normal than you. Well, that is the new normal for some of us older folks. You can have problems even at the age of 40 years old, okay? That's what I said. You can have that problem at the age of 40. It could be genetic and it could be food sources. And I'm still finding out about what it is because there is a lot of myths going around. It's not true. But it's a combination of a whole bunch of things. Diet, they say, that probably does have something to do with it. I hear about people's numbers. It does go by number. The larger it gets, the worse it is. That's why I said the larger it gets, the worse it is. PSA numbers. It blocks your urinary system. That's what it does. It blocks your urinary system. But once you take care of it, you're functioning normal. You are functioning at least 99%. I always tell people I'm just 80%. Now I'm about 99%. But I still in my mind, I'm still half of an athlete I was before. Of course, I'm much older. I don't jump. I don't play basketball anymore. I don't do any of those things. I don't run truck. I still go to the gym when I can. I still try to take care of myself. I never was an avid drinker. I love to drink. It had nothing to do with that. There are certain things I have to cut out, period. for this new thing that I have that's going to be in the next video. That just is a teaser for the next thing, because I feel that sometimes if this was taken care of earlier, I might not be going through the same process now. Or maybe I could have delayed it more by listening to what the doctors had to say while I was in the hospital for that short time. It changed my life. Even though I've always been sensitive to other people, I'm even more sensitive to other people. I can finally understand even more so when a person is injured and not injured. You always have that feeling about the downtrodden and the hurt and sick. But once you go through something like what I've been through, you got to change, because it will change you. You know, you see all these things that's going on around you. You still want to do those things now. I'm not saying you won't be able to box if you're still boxing, karate, playing basketball, running cross country. You can still do all those things. But you will see things in a more perspective way. And sometimes it takes it a while. But like I said, I'm lucky that it didn't get no worse while I was in the hospital that short time, because it was a point where I didn't think I thought I was gonna retire, period, just start all over again. When I was tired, just quit work. I probably would eventually got on my feet and done some work anyway, but it was gonna take me a while. It's gonna take me longer. Maybe I was gonna take a sabbatical. That's how I felt. Took a lot of sick leave because I was actually sick or injured or whatever you want to call it. Now let's talk about what it really is, okay? Let's talk about what it is. I just announced to the world, so, okay, I talked 22, 23 minutes almost about how I'm affected. 40 million men, 1 in 8% has prostate problem, will get prostate problem. It said mostly older, 6 out of 10 over 65. However, you have rare prostate problems, but it's possible under 40. So you definitely need a prostate cancer PSA test. But like I said, cancer is not necessarily the problem, but they still test for that. To me, everything is cancerous. I don't care what it is. It might not be something that you rarely see, but anytime in genetic form or something you can't control yourself, to me, that's cancerous. Even though they have different type of cancers, that's very cancerous. For black men, it's 1 in 6. What is that? For black men, 1 in 6. Asians, American risk. I guess you're talking about Asians that are American. I don't know how they figured that out. I guess they're talking about Americans, period, risk. The risk is lower with Asian men, but higher rates of high grade. Now, I don't know what high rates of high grade mean exactly. That's some more stuff maybe you should get into. Men of color, 73% to 76 more often than white men. That's right. So black men is 73% to 76% more often than white men. So therefore, but they do the population. If you're any kind of sociologist and you're dealing with numbers, statistics, and all that, you can't equate that to the population. I'm just going to keep it simple because a lot of people like to skew these rates no matter what they do, no matter what they talk about, whether it's crime or whether it's daily do rights doing good or whatever. There's always a certain percent based on the population. So I guess that would be high if you have a smaller population size, but the rate of injury to a person of color is higher. But we're talking about America here, okay? Now, who knows about the world? One thing does lead to another. We know that. There are a lot of problems. But it's time to change now. Men must stop being scared of going to the doctor. If you have a medical plan, use it. It's not like going to the gym. You go pay some money and then never go to the gym. When you talk about your health, that's just minor health. That doesn't fix anything. That's just dealing with, it does help, okay? I'm not saying it don't help. But if anything is genetic, anything you don't know about, anything that's foreign to you, you need to go check yourself out. All men, I don't care what your persuasion is. If you are a man, period, I don't know what you do. Don't care about those social lifestyle. Don't care about any of that stuff. We're talking about prostate. We're talking about surgery. We're talking about doing what's right for the man. In order for the man to live comfortably for the rest of their lives and get ready for whatever else that us men have to handle in the future. Your families are involved whether they want to be or not. Sometimes you feel like you're useless, and I mean useless. And you're looking into the future while you're down and you feel like you're useless. You're going to be useless in the future. But you're going to be more useless if you don't take care of what you have to take care of. You're going to be more useless if you don't take care of business of your health first. Because you come first in order for you to take care of everyone else in your family. Like I said, not necessarily about money, but it is about life. It is about living your same lifestyle, not being tortured or messed up. I got some more stats here that I just found out about if I can still get it. They say a sedentary lifestyle. Now this, I'm getting it from Google on my pad here. That contribute to an enlarged prostate, specifically benign prostatic hyperplasia, lack of physical activity. Well, a lot of us do all kinds of activity. You might not go to the gym, you might not run. Of course, the older you get, the less activity you do. And even if you are a number one athlete in the world, you're still going to have to take care of yourself because that does not stop your prostate. It might for some, but not all. Every person is different. And then it says, combined with a diet high in refined sugars and fats, promotes abdominal obesity, which increases pelvic pressure and hormonal shifts that stimulate prostate growth. So while aging and genetics are the primary drivers of an enlarged prostate, several daily habits silently influence its growth and the severity of your urinary symptoms. So it is maybe what you eat, but you know that 1/10 or 1% that you don't see whatever you've done to your body can ignite something, some chemical analysis in your body that no one else has. And that's why I'm saying this is entertainment purposes. That's why your prostate is large. So yeah, we do put a lot of sugars in our body, and that's probably why I'm not hardly taking any sugars now, but I was able to do that then still, even afterwards, but now I really have to put down the sugars and the salt, even though I don't have diabetes. It still can be affected. I ate a lot of salads back in the day. I eat a lot of salad. That still doesn't go. I don't care what you eat. You try to do the best you can when you eat, and sometimes it just won't do it. It just won't. You try. Just as long as you try to do the best thing you can, you should not be worried about anything. Men should be tested. Men should not be afraid of that. We shouldn't be out there fighting nobody but fighting for ourselves first. Because when you fight for yourself, you are fighting for those. You're giving hope. You're giving hope in sometime a hopeless world to somebody who think it really is hopeless. They don't have the means. But if you have a means and you have the health insurance, regardless of how much it costs, use it. I'm not saying use it or you'll lose it. That's possible. But I mean, really use your health care. Go through what you have to go through. You're not less of a man when they give the PSA test, even though we all hate it. It doesn't make any sense. We all have to do what we have to do in order to survive in this sometime crazy world where healthcare is the main thing. If you can get a job that pays for healthcare, then you should use it. I don't care how old you are. Many of us get sick before we even reach the age of 20. I had different problems going on before I was at the age of 20. Before I was at the age of 15, I had some minor problems. If you can go to the dentist 10,000 times the way I do, well, you can go through this. You'll be surprised what the human condition can stand and all the pain. You will be surprised what you can take and what you cannot. That's a fact. Our pain threshold is much higher than we lead ourselves to believe. There's nothing more painful than pain itself. I think physical pain is much more harsher than love pain, losing someone special. We think that way because we do have these certain feelings in our stomach, these butterflies in our mind, and everything around us is going backwards. That's not real pain. The real pain is physical pain. They have medicines now that sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Most of the time they do work. There's pain always involved. And if you're any kind of human being, you know what I'm talking about. If you can play sports and go in pain, and things happen to you in sports, then you can take care of this. It's all the same thing. You try to fix it. You break something, you try to fix that. Something inside you can't see, you got to try to fix that too. Everything has its time. I say it's great that you can go through life without going through what I just went through. Some people go through way more than I've been through. But I'm just telling my story as entertainment. That's like I said, even though it's the real deal. And this just makes me more confident in myself, and that's why it took me a long time to talk about it, because I just could not talk about it. So everybody knows about it. That's one thing about me now. The older I get, I tell people what's wrong with me. I take the burden of proof off of me, because there's nothing I can do. There's nothing you can do but pray, right? I don't care what you believe in, you still have to pray. And that doesn't necessarily make it any better, right? But it's something. You got to have faith in yourself. You got to have faith in the doctors and the nurses and all the healthcare professionals that help you out. And that makes you be a better person in helping other people who are in pain. Makes you more sensitive to the truth. We all want to have a good time, or we want to have a sustained time. No shenanigans. You want to take care of business. You want to do this. You want to enjoy yourself while you still can. And this is the time you should do it. By going to the doctor. Take care of yourself. And I'm going to just read this because it talks more scientifically than what I already told you. But a prostate exam includes a digital rectal exam. Your provider inserts a gloved, lubricated finger into your rectum to feel your prostate. The prostate exam also includes a prostate specific antigen PSA blood test. You know, almost every test we do now is also a blood test. Everything we do now is a blood test. I don't care what it is. High PSA levels may indicate prostate cancer. See, but in my case, I was lucky. It was just high. P test, urinalysis. Checking for signs of bacterial infection. So it could be anything. It could be anything, any obstruction. An MRI or transrectal ultrasound imaging test. They still do give ultrasounds and everything now. Take a detailed look. I've had all these things done. Pencil size lighted tube with the camera inside. You know what? I'm not going to tell you what that is. Okay. But it's 1.2 of pain is like, oh my God, what the hell is going on? That's how much it hurts. Just like that. But it hurts. It hurts bad. And it is a biopsy. You get a sample of your prostate tissue. Okay? You're not asleep, man. You're not asleep at all with these tests. You hear what I said? You're not asleep. You're awake. Just send it to the lab for examination. You should start screening at 50 years old. That's most people. That's a generalization, but I guess they're right about that. Regular physical activity. I think the regular physical activities, you got to still maintain your strength. But just like I said, when you get to the point where I was, you lose all your strength, you got to have some strength left. It's all in the mind. I mean, it's in your body. But you got to know that you got to get better sooner or later. And that's why you should work out even before you even get sick. Because even if you got 1/10 of 1% strength there, you can recapture it back sooner than later. Of course, the older you get, it's going to take a little bit much longer for you. I don't smoke. I dabbled in it back when I was a kid. When I say dabble, I mean just that. I dabble. Most of us dabbled in a whole bunch of stuff. We dabbled here, we dabbled there, we smoked cigars, we smoked pipes every now and then. Marijuana, maybe. Other drugs you shouldn't be doing, and you survived it. Sometimes you think because of what you did in the past might affect what you're doing now. Maybe. Maybe it does, and maybe it don't. But if you didn't do that much and your body had really recaptured whatever you lost or whatever you decreased back when you was younger, then there's really nothing to worry about. But sometimes you think because you've done something that it might have awakened some genetic marker in your body and your brain. Sounds scientific? Well, I kind of believe in that stuff too. I think there's a reason for everything we do. Sometimes we escape, sometimes we can't. One of the things that lead up to me now eating much better, I'm going to show this. I'll show a couple of dinners that I did. Probably see media assets. Oops, let me go. See. It really doesn't show good, do it? It really doesn't show good. Can I enlarge it? It's over in that corner. It's hard for me to do that. I don't know why it shows like that now. Maybe because it was a short. But that's a dinner that I did. That's not a good example. That's not a good example either. Is it the brand? The logo? Maybe let me show another one. I guess it doesn't get no large. Okay, that's it right there, but I guess this is different than the StreamYard that I had before. I don't know why it's not showing me what it used to do. And that's one thing about it. Comment. Oh, I got a comment here. Drown. Oh, what do you mean drown? Drown. But you're not saying anything. Okay, what's happening, drown? Let's see, show. Yeah. What's happening? Yeah, so I was hoping to show what I cooked for myself. It's kind of hard to see that. Before, it used to just pop up the way that I wanted. The why is not, I don't know. I don't know at all. Now, what is this placement for? Log on right, log on left. Let's see what this is. Oh, that just moved it to the right or to the left. That doesn't do me any good either, right? That doesn't do me any good either. So I wish I could show you what I've been eating now that lead me up to everything else. So yeah, this is it right here. Taking some bread, chicken. I've been doing a lot of stir fry, but I'm not too full screen, new private chat that will appear in the corner of your screen. Anyways, let's get it back to that. So that's something I'm going to have to practice with for the next video. That is the main thing that I wanted to talk about with the prostate. And now, 3 years later, almost 3 years exactly later, I have another scare, even more serious. I plan to talk about that sooner than later because I'm still going through it. I think it's even more serious than that. But I'm still going to the gym, not supposed to stop what I'm supposed to be doing. And one thing that made me be more enlightened was watching some other YouTubers with I feel has more prestige than I do. So that gave me a chance to not rush through this and just do what I am capable of doing in my own kind of way. And that's it. This is Robert Deschamps. I really hate to end it here. But this is for the men only. Women too, I heard that there's something about women that's something similar to that. I'll let the women talk about that. I need to know more about it too. It's something similar. However, men, I'm going to keep saying it, men need to be checked. A lot of men need to face up to reality. They all talking about men do this, men do that. I think a lot of men go through all these things. They talk about it a little bit to different people. I didn't know how I was going to do this. I just knew that I had to do it and get it off my chest. The humble beginnings. Telling the world I'm sick, didn't know if I should do it back then, but I did it back then without any reservations. I probably could have talked about it then, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I probably was. I just wasn't ready. Was not ready. But here I am, giving you exactly what you're searching for. medical reasons in a true way from a real person. Men must get checked out. You must not be afraid of all the things that you need to take care of, that you're afraid of. We're all afraid. We all are, but you got to go through it. Sometimes you have to think of it as just like anything else you do. If you're going to be a boxer, you're going to get knocked out. You're going to get not necessarily knocked out. You're going to be in pain. You have to go through certain things. This is no different. No different at all. No different from any other athlete. There's certain things I know that I don't know how to do. But now I'm going to have to do it because I have to do it. You would think that why does it happen to you? But are you prepared if it does? I was prepared, but still not prepared until I went through it all. This is Robert Deschamps. I wish all you men out there take care of business. If you like, subscribe. I'm willing to hear from you. Anything else? Maybe I should start my own personal medical video. This is the seed. If my health is still good enough, this is the seed of a beginning of something else that I just might do. I'll see you later. Late night video at my best. No emoji faces. None of that. Just straightforward. Those that need to hear this can hear it. I'm willing to listen. And if you feel I should give another general talk about any subject, as a regular person, if I knew anything about it, or maybe we'll just slosh right through it, pick up the magazine, pick up the books, read from it, and begin again. See you later, folks, wherever you are in the world. I hope everyone happiness and health.